Motivate.Trust do go into the Phantom Assassin. So looks like we have our PA-CM lane, which can be aggressive. There is some good damage early on. I think the key thing with the PA is that if the lane still gets a bit rough with a Beastmaster despite having that Crystal Maiden, you're always going to have Dagger to still secure CS. So Jackie's not going to be offset too badly. You can still kind of build up. Love the counter pick from Execration though. Into the TA. This is a Bob special. And we know he delivers a stellar performance on that hero every single time. So it's a stable core for Execration to put their win condition on. The question now is, are we going to see any flex with the Silencer Venge? I feel like that is just our support duo. And that is a pretty decent support duo. I'm just curious what they give Tino now in safe lane. Because when you do have that TA, you kind of want your pos 1 to not be as greedy. You want to enable the TA to clear out stacks. So you want some more activity on the pos 1 here.
I hate to bring this up again, John. The buzzing's come back, so I'll leave you to that. Thank you for those points, though, Jonathan. Final picks to come here, Execration and Motivate.Trust Gaming. Do see Execration. They get rid of the Viper. Obviously, don't want to have that Viper against your Templar Assassin if you can avoid it. Though it does seem like it's a Masteros hero we're missing right now in the offlane for Motivate. Though I suppose you can just easily run the offlane Viper anyway. And speaking of Venomous heroes, you can also run the offlane Venomancer, which we did see earlier on. Though I can't say that was very, very good, but could just be another kind of point for Motivate to go down if they so wish, if they're really bothered by the refraction charges of the Templar Assassin. Have to wait and see. Must say though, I'm very intrigued by the fact that we have got a PA pick out from Jackie, because I really can't remember the last time I saw Jackie playing this Phantom Assassin. But I do love myself a PA. Always very entertaining to watch and trying to gamble to see if you can get some lucky crits going. And Motivate. Last pickup now, still the offlane that they need. You'd like an offlane that can just kind of get through the refraction, maybe a bit more disables. They are lacking just a little bit of stun right now, Motivate.Trust. Batrider removed as well. We saw the Kunkka being removed. We know about the Masteros Timber, but Timbersaw hasn't really been very popular as of late, and into the Silencer, it doesn't feel very good. I suppose he could go down the... No, he can't even go down the Mars route either, because that's also been banned out. Could get really greedy and try to run like a zoo lineup yourself. No, Lycan's also banned by Execration, so you can't do that either. We've got 40 seconds to think about this. In the meantime, Execration, it appears like they just need a safe lane right now. Motivate, they're going to go for a Leshrac pickup. So it could be the offlane, could be the mid Leshrac. Either way, I believe we have seen Masteros play a bit of Void Spirit. Execration, I still do believe they do require a hero for Tino. But I think you mentioned it earlier, John. You did say Tino does play the TA if necessary.
Yeah,
so it is flexible.
As well.
Yeah.
They could also flex the Venge to safe lane here on Execration side if they wanted to. Motivate.Trust, I think it's likely we're going to see the mid Leshrac coming through for Fearless. Sorry, it's raining pretty hard. I'm just checking the windows are wet. But we're fine. We're fine. No leaks yet. It should be the mid Leshrac against TA. That lane is pretty good. So that means the off lane Master is Void Spirit. And the Leshrac in this case gives them some push to counteract the push coming through from Execration. Gives them good wave clear as well. Doesn't care too much about Silencer, surprisingly enough. As long as you pop your Edict and your Pulse Nova on before the Global Silence is on, you should be fine. You tend to build a Ults on the Leshrac anyway, so you've got a Self-Dispel on hand. Execration, we've got to see how they flex it around. Again, Bob should be playing the TA, but we've seen Tino take it safe. And we also sometimes see Venge safe lane in the past. They go with the Invoker, so it is the Tino safe lane TA. And that matchup is still pretty good for TA against Void Spirit. I think that still works out for the TA fine. You avoid Leshrac lane for Tino for that TA, so you do have steady buildup. It does solve the issue of being too greedy with a TA. Like, you know, because you're pos 1, you don't have to worry about anyone else taking your farm. Invoker can be quite active early on with just the Urn. So I think Execration has pretty good farm distribution coming through. For Motivate.Trust, it feels like their pace is a bit slower. The PA needs to build into the Battle Fury, build into the Desolator, likely going to need a BKB this game. And that does take some time to build up. You don't have the easiest lane against Beastmaster despite having that CM on hand with a Frostbite. So I think Motivate.Trust will really have to watch their safe lane and try to enable Jackie as best as they can.
Okay, so are you giving the title of superiority here between these drafts, John? Execration or Motivate.Trust? Final words before we get into game one.
I think I'd put it to Execration. I think the Beastmaster is going to have a lot of impact and early push. They've got really strong auras as well, like the Venge aura plus the Beastmaster aura in conjunction in a push in a team fight. There's going to be a lot of added damage and attack speed towards the TA. So there's immense amounts of damage coming out from Tino. Down the line, you'll have Alacrity up on her as well. So there's so much going on there for the TA to get her damage off. And the pushes are going to be relatively simple, especially once the Desolator is up on Tino. And you do have some counter push on Motivate.Trust with Lesh. It doesn't feel like it's going to be as fast. And I believe we have gotten word as to how the weighting goes here for the head-to-head of Execration and Motivate.Trust. So if it goes 1-1, same score, same head-to-head result, so it goes to the new Staddle result, which decides who goes through. I have no clue how to calculate that, so I don't know the implications. New Staddle, it's like a 0-2 is 0 points, 1-1 is X points, with how many wins that team has, and a 2-0 is Y points.
Yeah,
it goes somewhere. Okay, it goes somewhere.
Yeah, I'm reading the message. Thank you, by the way, Dougie, for the answer we were looking for. Answer is way too complicated. Basically, we'll find out once the series is over. If there is indeed a draw, that there is going to be definitely some calculations to be done. Not by us, by the staff in the background that you guys won't know about. They'll just get their calculators out, do a few calculations, quick calculus. Then see what they can get done, see who does take over for the up bracket. Either way, both these two teams are going through the playoffs, so neither one's getting knocked out. That's for sure, but, upper bracket, lower bracket, quite important for either side. Naturally, if you can start in the upper bracket, you'd rather do that. And, well, if you want that, you want a 2-0 victory right now, so we'll see which team is able to pull it off. Generally speaking, game one, usually very important to get that momentum going. And as you see, John, this is why you said you really enjoy the CM into the Beastmaster. So you can just frostbite the boars. And the amount of XP they give is kind of ridiculous. It really is. And I know it doesn't look like much right now, but you've got to understand that XP was split between 3 heroes for one little boar. It's just not right.
Yeah, it's a lot of value early on. They are getting some good vision out as well. And there are some... They're forced to kind of deny out their ward, so they poked it under Hawk Vision, which does let Execration know there's a ward there. And let's see if they can get off the meld strikes here. Tino's in position.
Another ball. Another one there. Tino, he's going to move in. They've got Set0 trapped up, and who cares about the balls if you get first blood? BDZ able to take it on the Venge, looking for the deny on that Observer ward, and he's going to be able to get it. They don't deny it all the way. So maximum value for Execration. Very unfortunate kind of beginning here for Motivate.Trust.
Yeah, it's going to set them back. We do see the lane split up, Raging Potato on that offlane Beastmaster once more, along with BDZ on the Venge. They are up against Set0 and Jackie on PACM. So you still always have that Frostbite to kill out the boar. At least one of them will go. You'll have steady EXP buildup. The presence early on with the Beastmaster is not going to feel amazing. But as the levels go up, I don't know how much more manageable this gets for Motivate.Trust. Like higher levels in Boar, value point in the Inner Beast for attack speed, down the line BDZ with a Wave of Terror, amping up the Boar damage, and then Vengeance Aura being up, giving some great bonus damage as well towards the Beastmaster. It will be a lot to play against. The great thing about the PA, though, is that if the lane does get rough, you can sit back with a Stifling Dagger and just find last hits that way. So I think for Motivate.Trust, they just have to focus on getting Jackie to hit that Battle Fury timing and just play the lane safe here.
A very close call down at that bot lane. Tino was trying to look for a Meld Strike onto Q to just finish off the job, but ends up missing out just barely. The range on that level 1 Meld Strike just so darn low. Still, Q and Masaros down at that bot lane are going to be against RR and Tino. So not the simplest lane in the world for either team here. Definitely a lot of kill potential from both sides. It's going to be very important for neither team to try and make a mistake in this safe lane of Execration, because you make one mistake, you cop one stun, you're probably going to go down. Speaking of, top lane, BDZ ends up going down as now Raging will be chased up by Jackie. A very aggressive start from the safe lane of Motivate, and they should have him. Double kill out for Jackie. Takes the boar as well. And he's just about to hit the level 3 mark. Excuse me, they're off to a rough start, but definitely good news for Jackie with an early double kill.
I didn't quite expect that. I felt like Execration would just bide their time, wait for their level 3 spikes really to start playing in that lane, but forcing the issue early like that and giving a couple of kills to Jackie sets them up for a pretty early Battle Fury time for Jackie. That's a lot of gold he's got banked up. And once that Battle Fury is up, he is going to be able to farm at a really, really strong pace. He's going to be able to match that TA. And this is the interesting thing. You know, Blur got buffed, right? From 15 to 20 and then 10% increments all the way up to 50% evasion. That means an MKB is going to have to really come out, and Raging again has to be careful.
Just so aggressive. Another kill out. It does go to set 0 at the very least, so not as much value. But down at the bot lane, John, they lost Tino. And we talked about the mistakes being made. There's another one. RR. Caught out of position. And Q and Masaros, so aggressive in the off lane as well. All it takes is a decently landed boundless strike into the split earth, and you are probably going to die. In fact, here we go again, Q. Gonna land it. Split earth is gonna land. They have the sentry ward. Masaros, he just doesn't have any more mana, but it won't matter because Tino, he's making the walk of shame back. Oh, it's gonna be a long, sad walk for Tino on that Templar Assassin.
Yeah, Motivate.Trust. And we talked about their weakness being in the laning phase. Looks like they have corrected that for this game. But again, I recall the times when Motivate.Trust do get a good laning start. Somehow the momentum doesn't maintain. So they're going to have to hold on. They can't give opportunities away to Execration to get these streaks off of them and keep building up from the strong start. We'll see if Execration can find an opening down the line. Take a look at the mid lane. Bob on the Invoker up against Fearless on that Void Spirit. So far, Fearless is having an absolutely great start. 23-7 compared to Bob at 16-4. Just massively ahead in the CS. Should be able to hit his level 6 spike. Once you do have that step up on the Void Spirit, you can look to play aggressive. Maybe not in the Invoker if you don't feel confident with his spells on hand, with Ghost Walk potentially coming through. But you can make those sideline rotations and just keep Raging or Tino down for even longer and just delay those initial farm timings that they want to have.
Bob trying to get aggressive here onto Fearless. That mid lane definitely going Fearless's way on the Void Spirit. Pretty standard though against the Invoker. You're always going to have that advantage as the Void Spirit in terms of CS. But every lane just been fantastic for Motivate this game 1 thus far. RR now going to be chased up by Q. Won't bother throwing the Boundless out yet, but eventually we'll go for it. And RR, one more hit, he'll be gone. Primal Spring in, Q needs another. Fairy Fire out, it's just not going to matter as they have so much range. With this massive staff, Q just ends up finding the kill onto RR. And this bot lane is such a disaster. In fact, top lane, it just doesn't get any better either, John. Jackie, he takes his 3rd kill of the game. It's 1-8 with a 2k net worth lead. And Motivate, they must have heard what we were saying in the draft, John. They don't seem very happy. They seem quite motivated this game 1.
Yeah, it's great to see for them. They're off to a really good start. A 3k lead at the 5.5 minute mark. 1-8 for Motivate.Trust. Execration. I haven't seen a Beastmaster get this shut out of lane in a long time. And Raging's already going to have to play in that jungle. So we'll see if BDZ can hold on to the top lane and just prevent himself from dying. Soak some EXP while he can. They're also sending RR up top, and they've already sent Tino as well in the jungle. So you've got 2 jungling heroes at the 6-minute mark. It's just not a very efficient way to use the map. That's going to stall out the push timing if you're Beastmaster as well. Dominator timing's already stalled out. Motivate.Trust have set themselves up for such a strong start. Jackie's Battle Fury is going to be a pretty ridiculous timing. Already has a Ring of Health and Claymore up. So not much more left for him, and it's just going to build up in the TA, in the jungle. It's just not that fast. You know, level 1 Refraction, you can't tank through too well. Sideblades at 1, Meld at 1. You can't do these camps fast enough.
I don't know why you're saying they lost the lanes, John. This is just SEA strategy right here. I mean, having 2 jungle heroes in the early stages of the game, pretty normal in my pubs at least, as Bob, mid lane, gonna get jumped, has a double damage, does get a nice tornado, but Fearless does not care about that. As Fairy Fire Bob, he's gonna survive. They'll try to turn now, as Fearless is completely out of mana. He'll stick charge, but it's not gonna be enough. Nice pickup from Execration. They They desperately just needed something, as they might even find Q now. Deafening Blast, last word. Oh, that's a great mischief dodge. He jukes out the damage on the last word. Ern's still ticking him down, but he's juked out everything.
Ooh.
How do you even do that? How do you juke out last word damage?
Yeah, well, Q's been playing a lot of Monkey King recently, so he knows the invulnerability when they're there, abuses it quite nicely. The kill onto Fearless is still big, not enough to offset that lead. And inside of Motivate.Trust, knowing that, you know, the supports rotate mid, they're freed up on the top, they're freed up on the bot lane to get what they want. Masteros is already level 6, only has the level 2 Edict, so can't quite just melt that bot tier 1 tower, but eventually it'll line up for that push, and we're not seeing Raging ready to go for his own push yet. He hits level 5, has the level 3 boars. Dominator, not quite up, still lacking about 400 gold or so for that recipe to be up and running. And as long as this push timing is stalled out, Jackie still has the lane to play with, has the perseverance, and just lacks one part.
Mid lane, they're moving in, still 3v3. Alright, he's gonna get bursted down. They might find set 0 though, but it may not matter if BTS drops as well, and they are gonna find him. In fact, Bob, he's not out of danger yet either, but luckily for him, Fearless is out of mana, and they'll have to retreat as now Raging shows up with his 2 boars. Q should be screwed. Sunstrike, oh, what a great shoot. Q, he reads the movement again. Bob is not going to be able to secure the kill on the end as Q. He is well and truly out. The Urn charges, going to leave him at 19 HP, but he will proudly walk back to the fountain.
He's 3-0-3 now in the Monkey King, just not dying, won't die. And Motivate.Trust is just really working that aggression well. They're starting to line up mid. Fearless is hanging in the backside. They could look for the angle. Jackie ends set 0 here as well.
Bob, gonna get jumped. They've got a 9-minute Battle Fury up, John. Jackie, he does skip the treads, to be fair, but he has a 9-minute Battle Fury in this game 1. Yeah, that's gonna be a bit of a problem, I think. I mean, even without the treads, who cares about that? It's a 9-minute Battle Fury on Phantom Assassin. It's a problem.
It's a massive problem. Jackie's at 5k gold right now. They do manage to get a good kill on Masteros at least, so that will set Tino up and help him recover, but the difference between Jackie and Tino is huge. Like about 1.4k gold at this time in the game is significant. And that just means Jackie's going to be able to farm up really quick. You start to ask the question, do you have enough burst damage to handle a PA? Because that evasion change, let me tell you, it feels amazing for a TA player. For a PA player. Max at level 1, 20% is all right. 50% at max, you're missing half your hits. And a TA is all physical.
Absolutely. Bob. Oh, wait, the Remnant. Gonna catch him right on the edge. Fearless. Catching him out, and Masteros will get the job done. Very, very rough game 1 thus far as Raging. He's only just hit level 6, and he's gonna get caught out and dies again. Just the aggression from Motivate. 4-13, 5k net worth lead. They do at least get Q down to the bot lane. So Tino, he takes the kill for himself. Second kill of his game on the Templar Assassin. But it doesn't really matter when you're 4k behind. It's a big problem.
Really is. They are still trying to catch up on Tino, and to be fair to him, he's not too far behind Masteros. So there is some room for the TA. There is some slow but steady item progression here going into the Dragonlance, and it is up. So you have more stats that should speed up the farming rate in the jungle slightly with the added attack speed and damage on the Agi stat. Just needs more time. I think for Execration, they just have to hold on to their map, prevent the push from coming through with the Leshrac, and try to get something on the Beastmaster. Like, say the Dominator timing is going to be key to look for their own push. Once you do have something up on Raging Potato, you can kind of make a play happen. They do have the Dominator, but it doesn't look like Execration really has a lane that they can constantly shove in. And I think as long as you don't shut down Jackie's farm, we know how Motivate.Trust play. They play off the back of his big core. They're going to smoke up early. Just Battle Fury treads and Jackie's joining in.
Yeah, I mean, it's still Battle Fury treads, John. I mean, 11 minutes is the timing. He even has the wand up as now they jump in. Global Silence is immediate. Tornado gonna land onto Masteros. What was that?
They left the chip vest.
Oh, they left the chip vest. You know, when you're jungling, that's a really good item. Execration, they might need that right now. But, yeah. They left it behind. Ancient's being taken, but Motivate.Trust, they're not going to leave this be as they jump in with the astral step. Fearless right on Tino. Already getting rid of half his HP. Roar out, raging, trying to go after set 0. They might get him. Fearless, he's gone too far. They take down the Void Spirit. They've got the CM. They'll lose BTS as a trade, but Motivate, they're not backing off yet. Or are they? Their stun look quite low. Masaros might be the third to go down, and does. In fact, now Jackie gets hit by the tornado with the cold snap and the urn charge. He'll blink over to Q, but Q needs to help out. A 4-man boundless. Jackie, he can't fight. He needs the blink target. Q will give it over to him with the deafening blasters there. They've got the curse out. They've got the kill. And that may be a massive turning point for Execration now, as they just had a huge golden XP change. And pretty bad news for Motivate.Trust. They're going to keep fighting. I don't think it's the time to fight, though, if you are Motivate.
No, they don't have the Wukongs. They don't have their PA up. I have no clue why they forced the issue after they lost Fearless up front. They need the Void Spirit to really get some good AoE damage off, get some good control off for the Remnant. And they kind of just forced the issue, maybe just feeling pressured by seeing those massive Ancient stacks. They give off a little bit more than they should have. I think at this point, Motivate.Trust just sit back with PA, have Jackie farm. Don't force him in to join these fights yet. Let him finish up his Desolator first, and then the damage issue is not going to be there. He can jump in confidently, bursting down supports, bursting down the back line, simplifying these engagements, and cleaning up the cores.
BDZ and Bob going to get scouted out. Q getting all the vision. RR gonna be around, but everyone's been spotted as Fearless. Still gonna hang around mid lane. Tino, top of the net worth board now, and you've got to give credit. I mean, after that one big team fight, he just takes over, denies the Invis rune, won't take it for himself, doesn't need it.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It's kind of like you said earlier, John. It's like you get an amazing start for Motivate, but they always struggle to transition into the mid to late game. See if they can keep up the good work, but
Radiant's middle tower is under
are they going to try for that mid tier 1 tower?
Dire's top tower is under
Swap in, BDZ, he's got Q down, Wukong's command is out, Global Silence is there though, they've got 2 it looks like as Masteros is going to drop. Execration able to fight back once again, and now the Deso of Tino, they're just going to keep going. I think they've got a free tier 1 mid tower here. In fact, Jackie, he's going to find RR. So they'll get 1 kill for themselves.
Yeah, it's not the biggest kill, doesn't really matter. You already use GS anyway, so you don't lose out. Tino with Adesso is just going to melt that mid tier 1, so that opens up the map even more here for Execration. And Motivate.Trust really have to be careful about these fights. Like, with Tino, with that Adesso up, he is going to melt through a lot of your heroes. Maybe the Monkey King and Wukong is the one here that he can't really completely burst. But it's a massive spike for that TA, and Jackie just needs space to farm. And that early engagement really turned the tides there for Execration. And now they find themselves sort of... Oh.
Yeah, Q ends up going down. Tino, another kill onto the TA. Is Jackie now going to show up on the PA? Isn't going to be able to make the same kind of jump in. So, again, rather impressive how Execration's managed to make their way back into this game 1. Now just the net worth lead dropping to pretty much even. Very, very low in the way of Motivate.Trust. 53% win probability right now, but it's just such an even game between these two.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for Execration, though. Like they're starting to get more onto their cores. The Helm of the Overlord's not too far off for Raging Potato. Vlad's is almost up, so once you've got that Ancient creep up front as well, it's going to be easier to get that push going, get the aggression going. For Motivate.Trust, Jackie's still in a really good spot, so is Masteros and Fearless, but the TA is becoming a problem. Now, once Jackie gets more levels, once you start to max out that blur, you can still play against a TA. Like, as long as you jump in and just have that 50% evasion up, you are pretty fine. So the Deso timing's key here for Jackie. Probably going to need that BKB up, though, as the control coming through from Execration is getting hard to handle. Issue with the BKB is you're still playing into Beastmaster. So there's still the roar to pierce through that spell immunity. That does make it a bit tough for Jack to find the angle. He has to know where the Beastmaster is before committing the BKB down the line. Motivate.Trust, they are clumping around, but all of Execration's there.
BDZ, it jumped on. Still feeling very confident here on the Avengers now. Freezing Fields out, set 0. Well, Global Silence going to be there in time as BDZ. He's not done yet. In fact, he walks out with his life intact. Motivate the ones that will need to leave with one less player. So they're just not finding the victories they're looking for whatsoever.
No, they're trying to force some aggression out, which I can appreciate, but they just need to play it slow. They lose a support, not the biggest loss, and there was the Global Silence forced out. So there's a massive window where you don't have that big teamfight spell on Execration's side. You don't have a counter initiation to break up the jump in of Motivate.Trust, and that could give them an opening if they wanted to play. I think the key thing for them right now in Motivate.Trust, outside of Jack and farming, is they would love to see that mid-tier 1 gone. I think the control that Execration has with a mid-tier 1 is a bit too much. Looks like Jackie will try to sneak into the Roche, but he did see the trap drop. So you can't just sneak in with a blur active, but his Desolator is up. They do want to commit on that Roche. It's not going to take too long.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big objective here between both these teams. Dino, Blink Deso himself.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Execration.
Radiant's middle
They're going to let the
tower
mid-tier
is
1
falling.
tower go. Obviously, they've already got the enemy mid-tier 1, so they're not too concerned about that. It does seem like both teams are just going to be prioritizing that next Roshan attempt. You've got to sort out these lanes, though, if you are Motivate. It does seem like every lane is starting to force its way over to their side. Because it can be relatively hard when you're against the Beastmaster who can just keep split pushing, and now Execration immediately back into the pit. They'll get started. Alacrity up on Tino. Gonna make it much faster, and the scan is there from Motivate, but this Roshan is just melting so quick. They aren't even gonna bother trying to make their way over. They just let it go down.
Excellent.
Yep. There's just too much damage output coming through from the TA, plus the Venge Aura, plus the minus armor, with a Wave of Terror, and the Desolator out, and the Melt Strikes. It doesn't take long for that rush to go. So big objective coming through for Execration can enable even more aggression out from them. They could line up for the top tier 2 if they wanted to. They've got the numbers out there. Raging Potato not quite there yet, but he does have the Humpy Overlord. So he's got the Ancient Granite Golem, bonus HP, even harder to burst him down. And it looks like they might not even need a Beastmaster. Just Alacrity on Tino should be able to get that work done.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Top tier 2 tower, Tino. Gonna get rid of it, no problem. Bottom tier 2 will go down to Jackie. 12 to 15, still a very slight net worth lead for Motivate, but it's nothing really to write home about. BKB up very, very soon. Same can be said for Tino. In fact, he might have his on the way already on the courier.
Is under attack. Dire's top tower is under
Home with
attack.
the Overlord there as well for Raging. Got the big Golem up now. It's become a lot more difficult for Motivate, at least for the
Radiant's
supports of
bottom tower is
Motivate.Trust.
under attack.
You're even getting to the stage now where BDZ is going to have the Ags up. There's a massive power spike coming for Execration. I just wonder if Motivate are going to be able to kind of fight through it.
I think they can. They just need to find the angles for the initiation. Once the BKB is up in Jackie, it does get a little simpler, but someone's going to have to cop the primal roar from Beastmaster for the team. And I think in that case, you have to really throw Fearless out up front. So you have to have Fearless ready to kind of toss his life out if possible, if not one of the supports. Somehow, we have seen that Raging's willing enough to get the CM roared up if there's a good freezing field. So perhaps it's down to forcing Execration to make that choice. Do you want to waste a roar and a CM because of freezing field in the middle of the fight? And do you have the range to get the stuns off with your Venge? The side of Execration, they're all kind of clumping around mid. They've got that BKB up in Tino as mentioned. They will smoke up. Even the Ags for BDZ lining up here. So all the item spikes together, it's going to be really tough for Motivate.Trust to play against. Still, even on net worth, they still have something to play with, but they've got to be cautious of these spikes.
You do also have the Ags up on Fearless though now. It does come around the same time the BDZ he gets his own Aghanim Scepter, and now Jackie's got the BKB up. However, bot lane, RR has been caught out, it looks like. Q gonna make the jump in and does manage to take the kill. Q it's silenced up by that last word. Try to back and does make it. However, mid lane, Fearless kind of getting surrounded by 3, but they can't take him down because of the silence, and now BKB's out by Jackie. Still, they'll try and move in, but no, they've got to retreat. They've got to get the hell out. BDZ, he'll be left behind, raging, trying to juke, but it's not going to be successful. They'll even get the illusion of BDZ, and in the end, Motivate, finding more and more kills. And at the least, Q does eventually go down to Bob on the Invoker. Still really bad news, though, for Execration.
Not quite the engagement they were looking for. They split up and get punished by Motivate.Trust. Motivate.Trust is still looking for more. Fearless is still really strong. Has a Resonant Pulse up. Just needs a kill. Tino.
Jackie sees him. Makes it very obvious now as Tino is going to pop the BKB. Motivate, that's all they wanted. They might re-engage after the BKB. No, in fact, they don't even want to bother with that. Jackie has his own BKB on cooldown. I think they'll just be satisfied with how the last team fight went. Looks like everyone else will just go back to hitting some creeps for now, as you might just want to wait out the next Roshan. This is Tino. He's going to lose the Aegis in about 40 seconds. We'll see what he can do with the Aegis while he still has it. But Motivate, they're not making it very easy to have an opening here for Execration.
No, it's getting a bit tough. They're still forcing in that mid tier 2 here on Execration side. They've got the Ags up on Bob, I believe, yeah. So they've got the Cataclysm as well if they find that opportunity. And their push is still strong. Despite losing those heroes, and they can still get a really fast push out with a Beastmaster Aura, the Venge Aura, and the Ancient Creep up. So Motivate.Trust have to keep trying to hold back, maybe keep cutting that creep wave and slowing down that push.
Well, no fight to break out, it looks like. Execration, they are going to back, and there's going to... Oh, never mind, there might be a fight. 5-man smoke up now from Motivate. So look to move into their own jungle.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
BDZ around with an Invis rune to break the smoke if they run into him. He'll wrap around. Smoke's not broken yet. Execration, though, seem to know that something is up. And Motivate, they're running the long way around, but I think this smoke's just going to expire before they even get to the other team. And that is indeed the case. They'll just leave him be. I think it's still a massive issue of Raging's keeping all the waves pushed in. So as much as you want to go for a big smoke up, it's just too obvious. When all the creeps are just nearby your tier 3 towers and you're just not there hitting them.
Yeah. And they're not really getting the openings they want here on Motivate.Trust. Now, they're not lagging behind in net worth. You know, Jackie's back to number 1. Tino's just slightly behind at about 1k gold. Not a massive difference at this point. Everyone else equally tied up behind him. So the back and forth is still there. I think both sides are just showing respect to each other and getting that big initiation. Execration, though, and Tino's about to build into MKB. So he does realize that the PA evasion is going to be an issue. And once you have that MKB, the PA feels really bad there. You don't have the protection. Your EHP just dips all the way down without that evasion up. And the PA starts to feel less effective as a result.
Roar out. They've got set 0. That's not quite the target they wanted. So Jackie, he'll jump right in knowing the roar isn't up. And now the Boundless Strike does hold down 2. No lucky crits, however. Just no crits flying out for Jackie. Tino's going to jump back in with the Global Silence backup. Heavily, or rather, the Guardian Greaves were there. Purge that silence off on Masaros. Motivate. Still kind of juking and jiving as there's your crit you're looking for. Back on BDZ. They burst him down. In fact, now RR about to fall as well. BDZ moving into the Leshrac. Masaros is eventually going to die. Jackie still trying to force the fight, but he doesn't have that BKB anymore. It's a hard fight. Cataclysm going to fly through from Bob. It's blowing up both of them. As Fearless, he is not going to escape either.
I do not understand.
And it's into the mid-tier 2 tower they go.
Oh man, That was a tough fight for Motivate.Trust. Surprised that Jackie was willing to jump back in without his BKB up. Like, he absolutely needs that in the middle of these fights. Oh,
He's alright. Meld Strike taking only about half his HP on set 0. Only half.
Dire's middle tower is
It's not too big of a deal. Still can't survive.
they forced a buyback out from Fearless, so that's one less buyback on the side of Motivate.Trust. Execration now with a 4K lead off the back of that fight, 18-20. Roshan still a bit of a longer timer, about 2 minutes max, so gonna have to wait for that one next. Maybe waiting for that to reach the high ground. Don't think it's fully necessary if they find another good team fight and maybe force the dieback on Fearless. That could really open up the possibilities here. The MKB is up and running on Tino. So all of that evasion on Jackie, all of that durability he has right now is gone. Tino's just going to be able to rip right through, not care for the evasion. And that puts Jackie in a very awkward position. He wants to jump in, he wants to get the damage off, but if the TA can still hit him, he's probably going to lose that fight.
Fearless. He can jump in. There's some creeps. Be able to escape to set 0. Tornado's going to connect. They are just trying to protect the CM, and they'll even smoke up just to be able to retreat out. Oh! It's on strike. Or are you going to connect on anyone? You know, John, what I really like about this this new observing stuff going on here is I can't click on heroes. I have to drag over them. But I can click on the Ancient Thunderhide, and it works normally.
Yeah.
I can click
It's
on
nice.
the boar as well.
At least some of it works. You know? Better than nothing.
Yeah. Q gonna jump in. Fearless is there. Global Silence is out. Tornado did connect anyway. Masseros again just getting ripped by Tino. On to the Void Spirit. Fearless, he can't go anywhere. They're even pound set 0. Q, he'll be the fourth to drop. And now Execration. They're really just running through him. Forcing out the BKB from Jackie. You don't have a swap. But you might eventually just catch him again anyway. Blink Strike out, Jackie. He's going to make it out on the PA. Still, they just lost 4 heroes so quickly. And now Execration. It looks like they want to try and force the tier 3 tower and maybe the mid-racks. And right after that, they've got a nice Roshan to go back.
Yeah. Shouldn't take too long, no buyback on Fearless. So their big frontliner that jumps in and sets up isn't there. And you've got the Thunderhide creep buff onto Tino, you've got the Inner Beast aura, you've got the Venge aura, you've got a Lacti. It doesn't take long to melt these objectives. Motivate.Trust going to be a racks down, possibly more. Tino, he's not backing off yet.
No, he's not. I don't quite blame him. Like, you've got 40 seconds without Fearless around. It's going to make it very hard to try and actually defend this without that AoE silence around. Tino does eventually decide better off going any further. I still think Roshan's just a much more valuable play for Execration. In fact, no, never mind. It's a fake back. They're going to smoke up as 5, see if they can surprise the side of Motivate, and they might just find the biggest target. Jackie's there. They won't see him through the blur, though. Had they landed that roar on Jackie, it would have just been such a disaster for the side of Motivate to try and force a comeback. Execration now into the Roshan pit. We've seen this before. They do tend to take it very, very quickly.
Oh, that is so quick. It didn't even last. Like the machine gunning of Tino with all the buffs on hand. That Thunderhide's just so much value on something like the TA. And that's going to open up the high ground once more. One bad fight for Motivate.Trust, that could be the end.
Tino very confident. The MKB up now. You start to wonder how Jackie even tries to fight back at this point. Especially if Tino's still alive and nearby. They're going to sneak up from the backside and try to jump BDZ. Aether Imminent is there onto Raging, so it's a decent target, but the swap out is there. Raging, he'll survive. He'll be able to get the roll out, and now the Cataclysm going to fly through from Bob. The damage is just insane as Masseros. He will drop as well. They've got a full team wipe, it looks like, a set 0. He was the last one left, and that'll be the GG. They can't defend without buybacks, and, well, quite frankly, I think Motivate, I don't think they could have came back anyway. Just Execration, after such a bad early game, come back and make it look so easy.
Yeah, Inside of Motivate, they had this amazing lead. They had a 4K lead at like the 6-minute mark, 7-minute mark, and it held until the 10-minute mark. But that fight in the triangle they forced made them lose that lead, and it just fell apart from there. They couldn't get the farm up on Jackie fast enough. Tino managed to catch up off the back of that fight, hit his Desolator timing, take control of Roshan, and just ran down the game. I think it goes back to my worry for Motivate.Trust. They're so used to having bad lanes that at around that timer, the 10 to 15-minute timer is when they look to get aggressive to bounce back in. They still hold on to that mindset even when they're ahead, and they can play the game a bit slower, play it a bit safer, build up items to really get a big lead. They force a fight, they lose, and it just rubber bands the other way. Execration, a really good comeback from them, managing to play around their time, to play around with the insane aura stacking onto Tino, and they just took over. I think Motivate.Trust, they have to be a bit careful. When you win lanes, you don't necessarily just win the game immediately. You have to kind of take your time and still pick and choose your fights.
Absolutely. With that, we are going to head to a short 10-minute break, and right after that break, we're going to be back with Game 2 between Motivate.Trust and, of course, the side of Execration.